Hello, we are live. It has not been very long since you got back. When you performed that ritual, when you, for better or for worse, helped Eleni, it set off a chain of events that was hard to really quantify in a small amount of time. Within a couple hours, you were brought to Nim's cabin and visited by Taiva and visited by other more friendly faces, more supportive ones. And split between your two cabins, you all hunker down. And it's maybe not surprising, but you only really get a day to yourself before people intrude upon this uneasy solace or tension left to you. I would like to give the floor to you both for any last minute conversations, things to say, planning, even just kind of talking over how you feel. Because you are not given time to stew on what has happened and what is going to happen, as it seems like whatever is about to transpire was important enough to kind of be pushed to the forefront.
I know we didn't get to finish. Excuse me. Fuck.
Oh no.
I know we didn't get to finish the Motiva and Philin RP, so I would like it to be known for the record that Philin has informed Motiva of how everybody is doing and their thoughts on it.
Slay.
Sick. Nice.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you have shared that out of character, then that's chill. If you want to share it on recording as like how Philin would describe it, that is also bueno. We can have this intro be as long as you guys want it to be.
Let me look at the doc again.
And then I know you also wanted to talk specifically to Onyx. We can have that conversation here as well. I'm mostly just glad we got that Nefeh one in writing because man.
Man.
Oh, should we fully heal, by the way?
I will say healing is a really particular thing. I will say yes, because you do have a medical person on standby. Generally when you sleep, it doesn't heal you to full, but like again.
Oh yeah, I know. I just knew we were surrounded by healers.
Yeah, 100%, which is why I was in the middle of it. I was like, actually, yeah, you can fully heal up if you want to. You feel like shit, but you're not damaged.
Okay, I think. Okay. If I can do the Onyx thing now, because my intent with the Onyx RP was that she was going to be kind of the last person on Philin's checkup list.
Mm-hmm.
And sometime after she went through her checkup list is whenever that RP with Motiva happened, where she asked how people were doing.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and do that, we can. We also can, if you have any ideas, Motiva, or if you're okay with Philin going first, we can definitely handle that right now.
Philin can go ahead and go first. I think Terrible news. Motiva has hit the anxiety zone. We're just like, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, if I die, I die.
Man, that's so real.
It is very real. That's a very realistic response to the situation, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of emotions have been happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, Motiva, you're starfished on the floor somewhere.
I was gonna say Motiva would be fishing.
Oh, that's yeah, de-stress activity. You're just like mindlessly fishing and you're not even really caring about if you catch anything, you're just doing it to do it.
Yeah, she's just counting how many things she actually does catch.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I really wanted to know what everybody was up to and how they were feeling. All right, awesome, Flynn. What do you think you bring to this sort of approach? Because I can tell you like what Onyx is doing, but I also think because like most of these checkups you've gone with a specific like vibe or intent or like approach, I would love to like hear about it. Give me thoughts.
Yes.
Onyx is a little scary.
She's a little bit scary.
She's also been
There's a
very
reason-
distant from the rest of you guys. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a reason Philip saved her for last. I like to imagine that she decides to go to Onyx after like having a nap. And I feel like for everyone else, she had approached with the intent of like, see how my friend is doing.
Mm-hmm.
For most of them, I imagine she did that same thing of approaching with an offering of food.
Mm-hmm.
She does not do that for Onyx. I think she is just getting up and trying to see where she is.
Mm-hmm. I think the interesting thing, and I mentioned this even with like the sleeping chart, is that Onyx is kind of really segmented away from you all. Mostly actually spending time in Nim's cabin as opposed to Motiva's, right? She's the only one who actually sleeps alone, right? And a lot of what she kind of does is stick to herself. If this was a longer stay, because that was actually the thing I rolled before the session, if this was a longer stay, she might have actually had something more interesting to do, but I actually think a lot of it is kind of her. Even when you come into the cabin to poke your head in as if you're seeing if anybody's there or like seeing what she's doing, I feel like a lot of what she is like doing is kind of like looking in the middle distance and kind of like quietly spending time by herself. Maybe she has like a pot of tea on, right? Which I think is like not irrational because you can't really read any emotions on her face, but I think is very stand out, I think, compared to how the rest of you have actually been really social during this time.
Okay. I think... Because I'm assuming she's still in the cabin whenever Philip approaches her for this.
Yes. If you went
Okay.
to like go see where she is like chilling, maybe by the fire, probably a cup of tea. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know if that was like a describing what she's doing right now or describing what she's generally been doing in the time here.
No, that's super fair. What she's doing right now is the only thing she has generally been doing.
I think Fullen will kind of like... I don't even know if she like knocks necessarily. I think she just opens the door and like peeks her head in.
Pushes past the
And
curtain.
sees- Yeah. And she sees Onyx sitting there and like kind of just approaches without saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she stands like a little bit away, like not directly next to her, and kind of crosses her arms. Says, care to share your thoughts?
You see, she goes to kind of look at you for a second, and then she's gonna kind of go to top up her cup of tea and say, almost kind of as an aside, it almost sounds like she's sidestepping your comment for a second, but I think that she says, there's cups if you'd like some. Be careful not to drink too much of it. It does have some caffeine in it. I'm not sure what else you've been drinking since you've been here.
I feel like at first Philin doesn't do anything. And she kind of sighs a little bit and is grabbing a cup, and she's gonna sit down for some tea.
You're poured some tea. I think it's kind of a, probably a green tea. It has a very, like, this does not sound good, but I think this is the kind of tea that Nim would drink. It has a very astringent taste to it.
Astringent?
It, like, tastes medicinal, you know? You don't know if that's because of, like, Nim's taste, or if Nim doesn't mind the taste of things like that anymore as a doctor. But Onyx doesn't seem to mind it very much as she goes to pour her cup. And I think that her first comment after this is kind of touching base on your question, and I think that she kind of says, almost under her breath, well, there's a lot of things to think about.
Never-ending supply, truly.
I wish I could say you get used to the chessboard over time, but truly fate ends up surprising you more times than not.
It's a good thing you started relearning how to play it then.
How is everyone?
Some are better than I thought they would be. Others are worse. Grayson is an absolute mess about it.
I'm not surprised. I haven't had the benefit of interacting with him much, but his name is well known. In my experience, Silverquills do tend to get distressed when they don't feel like they're in control. Which I don't think is a negative, but...
Perhaps you should do that more. Interacting.
Probably. You'd think after a couple years of being back, the whole sense of community wouldn't be so foreign still. But I guess it doesn't erase a couple centuries of only really looking out for yourself.
Philin nods. I imagine it will take many more centuries to get completely used to it. But that is why you practice.
You know, it's funny. I feel like It's really only been recently that talking to students and locals has always kind of felt the same. As a planeswalker, when you're in a plane, sometimes even your home plane, there is a divide, whether it's self-imposed or the dissonance of interacting with normal people. I feel like only recently has talking to any of you felt different than that. I wonder if on paper I knew you all were the same as me, but I wonder if only recently have you all sort of grown into that part. I wonder what that says about the experience or this experience, if it is my own change in viewpoint, or if it's a byproduct of this experience.
I don't see why it can't be both.
Could be a little of a lot of things. But you're right, I should be at the very least, I feel like I can come to you all on a more even playing field, at least.
Yeah, that does give me some hope.
About what?
I think it is safe to say that when it comes to communication between all of us involved in this program, it has been somewhat lacking. I personally have felt a rather strong imbalance. But hearing that you're at least feeling more willing to approach us, it gives me hope. When this is all over, I wanted to talk to Motiva about, well, not just Motiva, I suppose everyone, about setting up a fund to get everyone phones. It will be easier to stay in touch that way. Keep updated.
Yes, I had heard that some of you have a communication system. I think at the very least that will be very useful for Embers, the Unignited. It's too easy to be too independent when you can planeswalk. But that's no excuse, I guess. Just because I and others I know moved through this experience a particular way doesn't mean the next generation does. Maybe you'll be a new type of planeswalker by the end of it. The changes happen surprisingly frequently.
Well, change is good. You cannot break a cycle until you decide to break it. Have you caught the news of Tyra's visit?
I did. I heard from Nim, funnily enough. I think they wanted to make sure that I was kept abreast, but I figured there would be some type of hearing to hear that it is a full trial. Well, those don't happen very often. I think the last time expulsion was really on the table for a student was... Well, I guess I can't speak for the time I wasn't here, but since coming back, I haven't had it happen. And the last time I was around when that happened was when I was a student.
It is difficult for me to picture you as a student.
Well, I don't think that that's a strange thing to say. By the time I even became a student, I was already what I would consider a master of necromancy. Spending a couple decades in Innistrad does that to someone. But there was a time where, yes, I was on a playing field where there were technically people who were my betters, but I can only imagine how dealing with me was, because I sure didn't act like it.
That's what I would expect.
I think I can speak truthfully that none of you would have really liked the old me.
I think that's a fair statement. And all the more reason to be grateful that we met you now.
What's that thing you said about breaking cycles?
But I wonder, do you have any plans, ideas for how you will approach your hearing?
I have decided what I will say. I imagine that me, Nim, and Adankai will be held to a different standard, whether or not the Kenrith twins will be held to a different standard, even more so than you all, I think is fair to plan for, but I'm not quite sure. They are outliers. I'm sure that they've mentioned to you, but when they joined, it was in a less official capacity.
Yes, I believe I recall.
But, I'm not worried about my conversation with Beladros. And I think the less worried you are with your conversation with Tanazir, the better.
Let's hope I can manage to stuff the worry down far enough.
If you have any lashing out, you could always chop it up to irrationality and hormones.
It's true. You aren't going to put your head on a chopping block when you go out there, are you?
When have you ever known me to put myself on the line for other people? That's an interesting thing to say to Liliana Vess, wanted fugitive.
I don't know. I'm not a mind reader.
Doesn't mean you can't want to try. I'll say this. Mind your statement and I'll mind mine. The less we know about each other's arguments, the better of a chance it won't look like we are colluding with each other.
That's true. Takes one more sip of tea. Sits down the cup. Well, thank you. I did not expect to come here finding a break, but it was nice.
I'm glad, though I think I can say part of it was the ambiance of a home that isn't ours. At least we don't have to clean up.
That's true. And besides, everyone else is either outside or chatting away in the other cabin.
Try to drink some water. You look tired.
I feel tired 10 times over. I would say have a good day, but, well,
It's not going to be my worst, at least.
we can be thankful for that.
And you see she goes to just kind of keep sipping at her tea as you go to leave. Liliana Vess, baby.
Liliana visit baby.
Falin, if you go to find Motiva to have that conversation, I guess it's at Fishing Hole. Fishing.com.
Fishing.com.
They fishing.
They fishing. Flynn waddling with a giant fucking cup of water.
Motiva squinting. Like, what's all that?
I need to stay hydrated.
There's two of you, so I imagine you do need to stay hydrated, yeah.
Just got back from tea with Professor Onyx.
I hope you didn't drink too much.
No, I controlled myself.
Not being pregnant has many advantages.
I think I would have forgotten about them in only 150 years? Somewhere around there.
So, what's up? Unless you just came here to flex your hydration skills.
Well, I'm very proud of that. But he wanted a summary? How everyone is doing? I feel like Flynn, goes to sit herself down, takes a big sip of water, and then she starts counting on her fingers.
No.
Will is busy trying to figure out his words.
Of course.
Rowan is very confident.
Naturally.
Grayson, as you saw, anxiety?
Yeah, he's biting at the bit.
Chad is doing good. I know he's not one of the people on trial, but he is very optimistic for us. It was very nice, very sweet.
Feels right about right.
Giselle is not as optimistic.
That sounds right.
It was somehow both humorous and disheartening. I think I may have bothered Nim.
She pulls in her line and she wraps it around the pole and she just like curls and she just faces full. She's like, "So what'd you do? That takes a lot."
Well, I perhaps pushed more
Ah,
than I thought I was. They are.
cannot mother Nim.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Bankai also seemed to be in good spirits.
He is. I
Okay. Sean was. What were the words? If we die, we die?
If we die, we die, and was hard to find.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And Eleni is mad at Taiva.
Well, let's just hope my worst fears about that don't come true.
I am a little bit worried if they get put on trial that perhaps a storm might be summoned specifically to kill Taiva.
Don't worry, I think Eleni is haughty enough right now. They try to kill the dragons too.
Oh god.
It's equal. It is equal.
Onyx did not share with me what her idea or plan was for her trial.
I imagine it's to win.
Yes. She assured me she will not be putting her head on a chopping block.
I'm grateful, I guess. It's the one thing that I was slightly worried about. Well, that and other people putting her on the chopping block.
Probably should have tried to get some reassurance on that part also, but I'm tired.
I'm only really worried about one person trying to do that to Onyx right now. And it's the one person you didn't seem to bring up.
Yes, Lafay is firmly in the seat that everything we did was a mistake, it was a bad idea. She was saying that if they do consider expulsion as a punishment, she understands why.
Yep. About what I expected. I already promised Nim and Kai that if they get expelled, I will drop out and I will be spending a good amount of time trying to find them a new home. I am making a lot of promises lately.
Yes, yes, you are. I don't want to think about what will happen if I do get expelled. If anybody gets expelled.
I'm curious what would happen if we would lose access to the scrolls. I don't think they would, but the idea of just dumping some of the people here, specifically you and Nefe, feels a bit out of character. So I imagine you'll be given a scroll to go home.
I know. That's kind of what I'm worried about.
I mean, I'll visit you. Keep an eye on you. Make sure you didn't disappear. I could make a joke, but I don't think you want to hear it.
You know, I'm a curious cat that just makes me want to hear it more.
Oh, I was just gonna make a joke about fucking your husband. That's about as far as I got.
I mean, you can try. I don't know.
I don't think, I don't.
You didn't say he was looking for anybody, but fuck. I don't know anymore.
This is the saddest dick joke I've ever heard.
Yeah, but Diva just kind of shrugs and just says, I don't know. I would visit you. I try to make sure that you're keeping on top of things. And if you sparked, I would go looking for you. I don't need the fucking gate watch to be there to tell me where the fuck my friend is. I'll just find her. I would say I'd do. Thank you. I would say I'd do the same for Nefe, but I don't think she wants to be near me right now.
I don't want to be near her right now. That's a triangle.
Whoa, that's a lot of feelings. I thought you and Nefe got along.
Yeah. She's still one of my dearest friends. That will not change, but it was very telling how she has responded to Eleni's changes.
I mean, I can't blame her entirely. Hindsight is 20/20, and there was a lot of big changes to Eleni. I'm not saying I agree. Puts her hands up really fucking big, and she like
Heard the big
watches, and
intake.
yeah, it's like I see in my mind's eye like Fulin looking more and more angry, and she just throws her hands up, and she's like, I don't agree with it, but she's allowed to be upset.
She's allowed to be upset, but I have 2 questions for you,
Oh, okay,
and I count on you to answer these honestly.
okay.
Do you think Eleni is so different that they are completely separate from the Eleni before?
I have an answer you're probably not gonna like.
I'll ask my second question. Do you think because of that that doing what we did made it less worth it.
The problem is that I've only shared half a conversation with Elaney in the entire time I've known of them. I put some eyeliner on them, and that's about as far as our conversation ever went. I only ever hear about them through Aurora and you. I don't know the difference between this Elaney and the last one because I never knew either. The only reason I did all of this is because I cared about you. I didn't have to know Elaney to know that they mattered to you, so I just did it.
That's fair.
This Elaney and that Elaney are no different in my mind because I don't know either.
Philosophical in the chat right now.
Philosophical.
The ship of Theseus, but your girlfriend.
Yeah, Ship of Theseus, but it's Elaney, and nobody saw the Ship of Theseus but Flynn.
And Nefay and Aurora.
And Nefay and Aurora. Oh god. Oh, I'm not gonna think about that.
I brought that up to Sarah in DMs the other day. I was like, haha, Aurora. Aurora does not even know yet.
Yeah, that's the thing!
Aurora
Okay.
knows nothing right now.
Man.
That's okay, we'll handle that later. That's before Halloween arc. You gotta survive this
Yep.
first.
Yeah, I feel like Flynn like sighs and says like, yeah, that's fair. And she kind of like rubs at her face a bit. The way that Nefay responded and talked about them hit a particular nerve. It hurts when you go through a big change, so much so that you feel different, but you are still that old person that you were, but also not. And to know that someone who was your friend would see those changes and abandon you. If Nefay had known me as Zavine and not as Felin, then when I came back as Felin, I don't think she would have stayed my friend, and that hurts.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. Because if we're going by that, then that means Nefay would have been from your world and known what you know about anamnesis. Known what you know how it works as much as you do, understand the ins and outs. She would have known that you were still you, no matter what form. Nefay's never dealt with something like this. Nefay is normal. Like, sorry if that sounds mean. Nefay is straight up just a girl. Even if you try to consider yourself normal, you are still a priest. You do stuff with time magic and you mess with space. My big thing is that Nefay kind of just went through a really big trauma. She saw her world shift really hard. She's never had that happen like this. I'm sure she has other traumas, I'm sure she has pain, but I can't blame her for being upset because she doesn't understand this.
This is why I haven't brought Nefay up. I
Maybe
have
she just... No, go ahead.
I have explained to her, as I eventually explained to all my friends here, what anamnesis is. The fact that I have gone through it is supposed to be a great source of pride. I don't fucking shut up about it. Still, I understand what you mean, and no words are true. I am also hurting from it. I cannot deal with it right now. I will come back to it later, once all of this is done.
Then do that. That's okay.
Thank you. I'm gonna go take another nap.
I'll be here. And she's gonna unhook her line, and she's gonna...
I love hearing conversations between Molin so much because I think their life experiences are so different. And I also think, not to like pull back the curtain, I think what Motiva said is so fascinating considering the two first conversations she had after this happened was with Adonkai and Nim, who are also very normal people who just had to go through that. So I think that that's such a fascinating thing to call back to, that like,
This is weird.
hey, what the fuck? Which I also again really like because like with Flynn's side of it, I think that this is such an interesting interaction to have specifically because she has been anamnesis. So it's like yeah, you know, you can hear time and time again that like people go through therapy for this and people have to get ready for this and they have a lot of time to chew on their partners or their loved ones coming back not the way you remember. And it is really sad, the idea that like interacting with somebody from a different culture who you might die and come back. Also, you don't know, this might happen in the future. And so like I think the fact that Flynn is like really emotionally being like, this sucks because I didn't think I would have to hear my friends say this kind of stuff, even though I know it's hard, I like to think they would still choose to stay. And then I also think because of that, there's that bleed of like, well, what if Eleni has enough memories to feel that rejection and feel sad? Why would I want my partner to now live through it? It's so nuanced where it's like, I feel like, sorry. I don't mean to, sorry to the viewers if this is cringe. I don't want to over-explain what was just said as if people can't know what was happening. But I love talking about it. I love you guys. It's cool.
I love Strixhaven!
Love Strixhaven.
I love Strixhaven. Hell yes. Okay. Do you guys have anything else that you want to do before you are called to defend yourselves? Because if not, then we're gonna take a little, like, 5-minute get things together break.
Before I jump Tyva, sure. I don't have anything.
You wait in the bushes specifically to shoot him in the butt cheek.
Yeah. It's my fucking smelly ammunition, so he smells like fucking roses in the entire day, and everybody can stalk him.
Fallen is just going straight to the emotional support nest.
Oh yeah.
I was about to say, because Motiva is out and about, there is no cabin.
Fuck!
Oh my god, you're right. Everybody is either outside or in Nim's cabin right now. Fuck! That's so funny.
Oh my god.
One of the big things that I told Nini is that Motiva is going to be so excited for whenever this is done, because she's so sick of being either outside on an island or in her cabin.
Yeah, her making this cabin really homey and having all of these cool moments in it. God, I am so sick and tired of it. When can I sleep somewhere else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, you take a nap in wherever the emotional support nest has been moved. Will probably would have moved it because as I've said, Will has been tending Eleni when you haven't been around.
That's so sweet.
It actually is
Yeah.
really cute. It means that Will is basically convincing Eleni to be carried everywhere, and they're napping all the time.
Sleeping Beauty arc.
Literally.
If I had a dime for every elemental that had a Sleeping Beauty arc, I'd have 2 dimes.
It's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna pause for the break. If you want, oh wait, let me pause first. Coming back from the break for clarification for future us, we are now discussing how Eleni works through Felin's observations.
Tell me what your eyes have seen.
I've seen. Okay, because I found the message where you gave me the fucking rundown.
Yeah, the
can
big
I
one.
can I read from that?
Yeah, if you want to. You can also paraphrase it if you want, but if you want to just read it, we'll be able to re-listen to it whenever.
Slay. Okay. Okay.
I love the idea that you're reading from it because now it feels like Felin is actually reading from notes that she took.
This feels like an omake at the end of a fucking chapter. I'm ready.
Sorry, I forgot that there were other messages before that that also explained things.
No, it's okay. I'm so sorry. It's a really complicated situation that I had to explain to you. I'm so sorry, King.
Many things happening in Eleni right now.
Oh,
They
yeah.
are a soup.
They are indeed a soup.
Okay. After being around Eleni for a couple days, you can pick up that their circadian rhythm has shifted in some capacity. The easiest way to keep track of the changes is actually within the day cycle of Arcavios. Eleni is sluggish throughout most of the day and sleepy, mostly in the hours of twilight. During the 4 hours of zenith, they are the most active and seem to have a lot of energy and alertness, same with physical coordination. And then, during the 4 hours of sundown, they have pretty consistent pains in their chest, low energy, but a hard-to-handle restlessness, and inability to sleep. Their physical form is also actively changing based on the amount of mana that they currently have access to. Hair longer, light brighter, brighter colors during zenith, hair shorter and darker colors and light dimmer during sundown. Because they get their shit from the sun now.
Heart.
What?
I said heart.
Heart. They are also ambiently using a lot of magic very casually all the time, but it doesn't seem to tax them. At the very least, we haven't seen the end of that mana pool. We can work with Eleni over time to get them to stop sort of always be using magic without realizing.
For a fun little additive to the recording, the way that I like to think about it is it's like when you like want something so you reach out for it instinctively, Eleni is like supplementing that with magical abilities that they are able to use. So like when they feel like they want something or when they want to do something or when they want to express something, they are actively using spell-like abilities every time because it's like a thing that they can do.
Yes. And this was something that I really liked when you were explaining it to me. The way I might compare it, if we're using the hemorrhage analogy from Ixalan, if Eleni is a bowl of water that had a huge crack in it, the crack is fixed, so they aren't leaking out, but that doesn't stop the water from dehydrating. So they're having to rely on other things to kind of keep that cycle going. And that thing is separate from the circadian rhythm thing that's going on, but.
Yes.
And then. Yes. And then the Casmium. The Casmium's objective in their chest was to give them a new source of mana, because Thassa remaking them basically was going to destroy their original connection and recreate it. Fucking obliterated. Like a bitch. Since Eleni was shunted away before it was done, Eleni never got the replacement, leading to the hemorrhage. So now what has happened is that they have a form that is braced and supported by our spell with the snarl, but they still have the issue of that they don't have that connection to Thassa in their creation. So the cycle of mana has stopped.
If we want to use the hemorrhage analogy, I also like to explain it as like their heartbeat isn't circulating blood, their life force isn't circulating mana, so they need a new way to be able to do that. Because when you ambiently use mana and you're not getting any more, it doesn't matter if there's not a leak anymore, you're still not getting new mana.
Yes.
You're explaining things right. I just, since it's on recording, I'm trying to help supplement information.
Yes. Yeah, so the Cosmium was supposed to help with that and be the new circulation, but it's not working as a renewable source for some reason or another. It is not enough to replace the connection that is no longer there. So the reason why their circadian rhythm has changed is because the Cosmium is reacting to Arcavios' suns, which means that Eleni has a pretty chaotic day of weak for 4 hours, kind of sleepy for 8 hours, huge energy spike for 4 hours, kind of sleepy for 8 hours, so on and so forth.
Okay. That's great. Flynn knows how to pick them.
Damn!
Does that mean? Is that too soon?
No, I think it's funny.
I think it is really funny. Flynn is like, for me to date you, you need to be complicated as shit.
Complicated as shit and a walking time bomb. Flynn's type is Soulless Dragon Age.
Oh, no.
Honestly, kind of. Honestly,
And Andrew's Dragon Age too.
unfortunately, yeah, this
Oh my
actually is
God.
really accurate. Oh no. R.I.P. Flynn, you would have loved Soulless Dragon Age. But yeah, basically, Eleni had a lot of stuff going on in their arc, because a lot of things were technically like interrupted throughout, which I think is really, really slay and really, really cool. And so a lot of how things have happened is directly a response to like how you guys decided to handle things, which I really like. I thought it was really fun to do that. And whether things progress or calm down or change over time is you'll kind of just have to wait and see or have more ideas later, but for now that's basically all the information you can figure out because it's fresh.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
Yup.
That's fine. We're doing great.
Yeah, everything is fine.
Better than it was.
Nothing bad.
Nothing bad except for being put on trial.
What? That's fine.
Which, by the way, now that we've done explaining that, it's kind of trial time.
Haha.
Okay.
You guys all kind of have, you both kind of have this kind of like final conversation right? And then it's just waiting. It's trying to take a nap. It's trying to relax. It's trying to kind of. You guys have already done the hurry up part of hurry up and wait. You know? It is now just trying not to run yourself ragged in the interim. Because, unfortunately, because of this situation, the vibes, I feel like, on the island and in the cabin vary really wildly from, okay, we're doing better now, to very tense, to, okay, we're doing better now, we are finding joy in community, and then tension again, right? And it doesn't really give you a lot of time before it's done. As you all are made aware that somebody is approaching the island, interestingly enough, again, from Eleni, as you kind of hear the gentle pitter-patter of rain start to pick up and get a bit heavier, and it is not as extreme as the storm was the first time, or even the second time. But that's kind of a telltale sign before this time Eleni goes out of their way to kind of, to me visually, actually, Philin, you probably weren't with Eleni when it happened, so I feel like it's more startling when you feel that whisper against the back of your mind of like Eleni's voice saying they're here, before you hear the heavy metal knock on a wooden door.
Damn.
Man.
Are we back in Motiva's cabin?
What do you think,
Well, if
Motiva?
you say it like that, yeah,
You get to
probably.
decide.
Probably, yes.
Fulham will look to Motiva. We'll get Motiva.
Motiva's gonna get up, and she's gonna smile at her guests, and she's gonna say, "Well, let's do our best." And she's going to open the door.
You open the door and you actually don't see Tyva. In this sort of scramble, I feel like what happens really quickly is like the three people who aren't supposed to be here like duck out of windows. You know what I mean? To be outside. But everybody kind of like being pulled towards like the common room, and you opening the door. You actually see the pleasant and sleepy smile of Janaya, the Dragon's Guard that was with Tyva.
Scarier. Okay.
And she goes to kind of look at you and look at everyone and say, well, it's time. Hope you're okay with a little bit of a hike. They didn't really give me a teleport for it.
She kind of like nods and then looks to Fulin, and then grabs her broom and gives it to Fulin.
Are you sure?
I'm not pregnant.
Thank you.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
She just smiles at you, goes to give a bit of a shrug, and say, all right, students, let's go. And you see that she goes to kind of like step to the side of the door for people to kind of file out. I'm gonna roll to see if you guys notice this, actually. I have to do rolls. I have to be a DM that does rolls.
What? That's crazy.
Fulin and Motiva, you actually have high enough perceptions to notice this, but you can see the heads of Grayson, Giselle, and Chad manage to kind of like solid snake crouch walk in a rush over behind Nim's cabin by the time you leave and your cabin is no more. you see that the rain kind of lightens up now that everybody is out there, but it's still kind of like this ambient wetness that kind of warms your skin as it's sort of like warm. And you can see that it actually is, I want to say, like the crest of the second sun, so it's about to be zenith. So as far as the broom, I think actually only Phelan would be on it, because I think that Elaney would want to walk. I don't know if you're gonna push them to ride with you, but
It was how many days after that this happens?
I think only like one.
Yeah, Flynn wouldn't want them walking still. She's like, it's got to be the full 2 days.
I think that they do, but I think that like there's this moment where like, okay, I'm sorry, I have this really particular image where as everybody's kind of getting ready to start walking, Elaney almost like goes to like lurch or like rush ahead of the group until you kind of like convince them to pull back around, and then I do think that they get on the broom, but I do think that they do uncharacteristic of the old Elaney, very characteristic of this one. I do think they do like a bunny foot stomp before they get on the broom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that they go to kind of sit behind you because they're a lot taller than you, right? And they go to kind of like wrap their arms around your waist and lean their chin on your shoulder, maybe.
I think with Elaney's arms around her waist, she's going to have one hand hold theirs over her stomach.
Okay.
Just idly.
Hold on.
They're about to find out you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they definitely notice. I have to think about what they're doing. Cause it's not. You haven't had the chance to tell Elaney yet. You know that, right? So the only people who know on this island, realistically, right, is like Grace and Motiva, Will, I think Rowan, right? Nim. That should have like been it, right? And you haven't really mentioned it a lot since coming here. It's only been a day. You feel like when you kind of put your hand on theirs over your stomach, there is not like a moment of... There's not like a moment of shock. There's not even a moment where you feel a register of recognition. All that you kind of feel, and it feels kind of like that same gentle impact of like this light rain on your mind. And it's this sprinkling of a mix of pride and the words, "It worked." But we're gonna move on from that. Don't worry about that right now.
Elaney, did you fucking plan it?
Don't worry about that right now. Anyways,
What the fuck?
don't worry about that right now. That was gonna be for later, but
Oh my god!
so you guys all get ready for your little walk in the rain. Hey Motiva, how you feeling?
She walking. Oh, she walking.
Oh, she walking.
walking.
I have a fun question for you, Motiva. And I'm not trying to call you out for having a lot of people that you love, right? That's not what I'm saying. Of of the people that you are walking with, do you think you gravitate towards anybody like to walk with them in particular?
Not particularly. No, I think Motiva is kind of just staring. Not daggers. She's staring into the void, into Janaya's back.
Yeah, in the middle distance as you walk. I feel like something of note then is that you kind of spend a majority of your walk kind of lost in that thought of what's about to happen. If we die, we die. But I feel like then nobody approaches you on this walk, and you're not sort of bothered, if that makes sense. Which I think is poignant. Maybe Motiva doesn't notice it because she's in her own little world, but something that you probably notice is a lot of your partners are very affectionate and very quick, I think, to lean on you in times of stress. So I think it is very telling about Crow's Feet, the relationship, that everybody is kind of sitting in their own thoughts right now.
Too stressed for touching.
Too stressed to think about affection, or too stressed. To me, it reads almost as like not able to look for comfort because that would be its own escapism from what we should be focusing on. You know? Which I think is really interesting. Sorry.
No, it's okay. She's just staring.
Yeah, that's fair. Since you guys know these NPCs a lot, I actually get to talk a lot more about the intricacies of how they're feeling about stuff.
Yeah.
And you guys are walked. Surprisingly, you were actually walked to Widdershins Hall, the sort of like main campus of Witherbloom. And something interesting, I think, that you both pick up on as you're very perceptive people is that you had never seen a Dragon's Guard until your first meeting with Taiva. Never. Not even during events. You've never seen like a guest speaker that was a Dragon's Guard. You had never been around when like a Dragon's Guard needed to be in the premises. And you can imagine other students are also like that because you stick out being walked through campus with a Dragon's Guard. You know? And you are brought to the teleportation room. You are brought in front of one of Hashmal's many copies. There doesn't seem to be a reaction as you are teleported to the Biblioplex. And you are walked out into the central campus. The Biblioplex is large, right? But you are walked sort of into central campus, a campus that you haven't really had a need to be at a lot since the second year started. And something that's characteristic of this campus in particular is that there's a lot of open space. Sure, there's a lot of greenery, but there's a lot of open space. There's a lot of paved areas that are just big for the sake of being empty. And sometimes it's atmospheric, and sometimes it might seem out of place. You don't think it's out of place when you see the spot that has been prepared for this trial, as you are walked with Janaya up to a place that you know that normally would be empty. And it is instead filled with a smattering of people. I would say maybe only like 20 or 30 people, most of which are deans or other faculty. The occasional confused student. And 5 massive figures. You both in particular have not seen the founders often. You have seen them depicted in pictures, you have seen them on maps, you have seen them in affectation, and you have seen them in passing around graduation time. It is startling how big a dragon is. even both of you understanding what kind of creature a dragon is, I still feel like doesn't speak for the scale, as you as people don't even come up to their knee. You think if you were right next to them, you would maybe come up to their ankle. And they are not quite seated, but they are arranged in this circle of 5 around this sort of open area. And you are led to the center, which has not quite like a stand, but it's more like a podium. It's a glorified soapbox, right? And Janaya walks you all as you guys all kind of congregate in a bit of a loose circle around this podium. And with everybody, that is, let me count again. 2, 3. About 10 people. And you are brought here. I just walked you guys through this area, but if there's any way that you guys are feeling, anything of note that you guys want to do before I get this part started, the way that this is going to work is basically anytime I have a bit of space, you are able to tell me if you want to do something, because otherwise it is going to be a lot of me talking without any input from you guys.
I feel like Philin has this like moment when she sees the dragons where she remembers one of their first days here, where she did all that reading on them.
Mm-hmm.
Does not compare to seeing them in person.
It doesn't.
No.
It's jarring. These are creatures you don't see often. And they're like, Philin, you know stuff about them. Everybody here knows stuff about them, but like, and it's like, yeah, you know, the founder dragons, they were around whenever the plane was made, and they taught everybody magic, and they made this school, and this and that, and this and that, and then you see them, and you're like, oh, they were made at the creation of this plane, and they taught people magic.
Yeah.
You know? Motiva, how are you feeling?
Motiva's going to turn around
Mm-hmm.
to all of her friends, and she's going to say, we should do what we can, we should do what we must. If anybody needs any help after the trial, no matter loss or victory, I will be there to help.
Is this one of your vows?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what that's gonna look like on her hands, but that's up to you.
Sarah, you were making noises. Did you want to say something?
I was gonna say, I feel like hearing that Philin will add on to it,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of like nod and look to everyone and say, I will as well. We are going through this together, even if we stand there apart.
You see, of the people in front of you, I actually think the person who speaks up is, maybe surprisingly, maybe not, I think it's Adon Kai. And I think that he looks at the both of you. I think he looked, obviously, at what Motiva said, and Motiva, you feel this sort of wash of magic as what you said you know must come to be, if it comes to that, right? You are giving your word. But then Philin says that, and Adon Kai goes to kind of look to you as well and gives a big smile. One that I think actually doesn't seem to fit very much the tone of this moment, And he says, of course. Coming to Strixhaven is about community, and nothing that happens is going to take that from us. Okay? Chin up. And I think, unless you guys have anything else you want to say, I think that's all that happens before it is underway. You see as Tyva standing in one of the sort of like loose half rings of faculty, steps forward a little bit, taking a bit of a stance for the beginning of this proceeding, as he goes to say, founders, faculty, and students, if any are viewing these proceedings, we will be examining and hearing testimonies in regards to a breach of Strixhaven security that happened just a scant day ago. Each person will have a chance to say their piece and speak directly to their founder, who will then make the decision on how each participant will be handled. The first to be examined will be professors and faculty involved, as the trust this institution puts on them to be an example to students must be examined first and foremost. And you see one of the dragons, this one covered in dark scales that was mostly kind of seated down, head on the front of its claws, goes to stand up. And I'm going to show you art of this one. You have to be so kind to me if these take a long time.
You're fine. We're just freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
I know you.
You see as this dragon, covered in dark scales, almost growing moss, as if parts of it were made of shadow and decay. Felin, you know this dragon to be Beladros Witherbloom. And she goes to look at you all as her voice rumbles in this sort of low timbre. You expect it to be louder with how big she is, but if anything, you hear that she has a very calm and a very methodical way of speaking. As she calls out the name, Nim Quinolis, speak with me. You see, I think Motiva, you're the one who notices this, as there's almost like a flinch as Nim goes to stand up straight and goes to walk up onto the pedestal as the first person to be spoken to. And Beladros continues, you are a healer and a respected voice in my school, easily the most senior in age of those here. I would hear what made you think these actions were acceptable of a future teacher. And if neither of you were as perceptive, I don't think you would have catched it. But you actually hear, before Beladros is even done talking, Nim, under their breath, don't talk to me like that. And you see that Beladros doesn't quite pull back, but kind of like re-examines Nim. and instead of questioning, almost gives Nim room to speak. But everyone here knows that they heard it. And Nim goes to kind of pull their head up and breathe in and says, I won't be talked to like that. Belladros, you oversaw my graduation personally. Don't subject me to the ignoble idea that I would ever try to harm this place or my students. I am not a criminal, and the only crime I can be accountable for is misjudgment. And there's this kind of like steel that runs through Nim's voice at this, but it's not angry, it's pained. It's sad. And you hear them go to take a bit of a deep breath as Belladros doesn't continue their questioning. And they say, sometimes when you work with students, you have to read the turn of events. And you have to decide if it's better to give them the safety net of support in case of failure instead of pushing them to go behind our backs. I believed that this would be the best way to ensure the safety of all students involved. You see Belladros' head kind of tilt a little bit as she looks at them, and there's only really a slight pause before she continues in that same sort of like quiet, serious, not accusatory tone. Do you not think that your judgment was affected by your relationship with a student? You all hear Nim pause before they say, I can't argue with that observation, no. Belladros seems almost confused, leaning forward. Do you have no wish to defend yourself? And Nim just looks down and says, I do not feel I have the ability to. I would like permission to leave the stand. And there's kind of like this second of no one saying anything before Belladros goes to settle back down and says the examination rests. And Nim goes to step down off the podium, back into the ring. If none of you have any thoughts or any feelings, I can pause, take a minute, and go to the next one.
Motiva absolutely grabbed Felin's hand.
Yeah! Fuck!
Yeah,
Think
you
Fel-
can pause, but no, go
Okay.
ahead. I'm
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry. No, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I think Philip is shocked.
Yeah, fair.
She's aghast.
That's fair. I think most people here are actually stunned into silence. Not only because of kind of like the opening to the questioning, but even like Nim's responses to this. And it kind of leaves an air over the group as this kind of moment settles. I think if you are like paying attention to what Nim is doing, I think Nim just kind of stands there, and like there's a moment I think where Adon Kai looks like he is going to go over to Nim, but I think holds off for a second and doesn't have time to before the next thing happens. Yes?
I think Motiva just kind of looks at And she can't bring herself to do anything besides, like, nod to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a second. Alright, and you guys are back. The dust kind of barely settling before the next one is called up next. As you see, another dragon goes to kind of like shift in how they're seated. This sort of. The wingspan alone, I think, is startling as they go to stretch their wings, and it's these big, leathery red wings. This almost horn perched atop the front of their nose. As they look consideringly over the group in front of them, Felin, you would recognize this as Velomachus Lorehold. If that's all from Beladros's, I will examine my own relic diver. Adon Kai, please step forward. And you see that Adon Kai is still kind of like looking at Nim before he goes to stand up and kind of, with an almost like relaxed position, kind of put his fingers through his belt loops and look Velomachus dead in her face. As she continues and says, Adon Kai, you have access to a lot of the foundations, the money, the history exhumed in Lorehold. Do you have anything more to say for yourself compared to your compatriot? Adon Kai kind of nods a little bit, thinks it over, and then goes to start talking in a tone that almost kind of reflects his a little bit too casual posing. That Motiva, you know, is almost like an armor that you've seen Adon Kai use. Adon Kai is very aware of the way that he speaks to people, and even though he is not the most charismatic and the most manicured, he doesn't give away his inner thoughts very easily, even though he is very earnest and honest. You know, this place has given me a home when I never had one. I know this will make my request for long-term employment here look a bit out of place, but I think that, and this shows how much I care, even the parts that aren't pretty. Students act on their own all the time. Independence and also connections are core facets of the culture of Strixhaven, basically smacked into your head since day one. Faced with something insurmountable, the life of their lover, there's not a lot of things I can think that would stand in someone's way like that if they thought that they could save someone. Velomachus looks kind of surprised as she considers him, and she goes to kind of say, so you think that the people here should be judged on the weights of their hearts and emotions over the consequences of their actions? And he kind of laughs and he says, isn't that that's a whole aspect of Lorehold, the school you made? You cannot separate an act or event from the context. You taught me that. And there's kind of this moment where they both look at each other before Velomachus almost looks like she is backing off. She goes to lean back and just nods and says, you're dismissed. You can step back. And when Adon Kai steps off the podium, there is no other hesitation. He goes to look at you, Motiva, and you, Felin, and kind of goes to give a reassuring smile, and he goes to walk straight over to Nim and puts I want to say like his forearm on Nim's shoulder and goes to start kind of like quietly talking to them. Even if you strain to hear, you can't really hear what's being said. What are you guys doing?
vomiting.
Crying.
Vomiting, crying, shitting my fucking pants.
Yeah, fair. So fair.
Shitting my dick.
The handhold between Molin is breaking bones at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We just hear little snap crackle pops throughout each trial.
Literally. Okay, awesome. Then we're gonna go on to the next one. You actually see, instead of going to an entirely new dragon, you see Beladros goes to kind of make eye contact with Velomachus before giving this sort of sigh that you feel like you can hear rumble in her chest. And she says, "The last professor is a bit different." And you see that she goes to kind of make eye contact with Onyx, and before even being called up, Onyx goes to delicately pick up the skirt of her dress and goes to stand, smoothing it over in front of her as she waits for Beladros to continue. As the head adjutant to the Planeswalker Support Program and as an outsider to Arcavios, I do have to call your loyalties into question. Do you have any words to defend yourself, your name, and your reputation? And there is only really a small pause before Onyx, Vess, goes to lift up her head and speak. And she says, "My name is Seraphina Onyx, formerly named Liliana Vess. I personally should know, more than anyone, that there are consequences when blinded by the want to save someone. Even if you would condemn their hopes, I will not. But what I do know is that I irrefutably trust my students. I can speak to the hearts I have witnessed and helped nurture over this past year, and I would have it be put on the record that I confess to all crimes as lead advisor to every student Planeswalker. It was my idea to overwrite Hashmal's defense readings until we could restore Eleni's soul with the power of the Snarl, a plan which ultimately succeeded. All blame should be laid at my feet, and all punishment, including expulsion, exile, and the stripping of my accolades and tenure, I accept with no argument."
I think Motiva, no offense, she is going to try and stand up unless fucking Valid stops her.
That's
Oh my God.
fascinating!
I feel like Felid is too gobsmacked. Because she really thought that Onyx wouldn't do this.
Uh-huh. Okay, Motiva, what are you gonna try to do? I do think, somebody would try to grab you, and I don't know who, so 1 second, let me roll really quick. So I feel like you, Motiva, you feel Will try to grab you, but you kind of duck out of the way just in the nick of time before you can manage to get yourself on the podium. But something that you do kind of notice is that, like, out of the corner of your eye, I mentioned that there was kind of like these rings of like faculty and the deans sort of watching, right, this proceeding take place. And out of the corner of your eye, out of anybody you could notice, you catch the gaze of Grayson, who, as he kind of sees you get up on the podium, you see he goes to say something to Giselle next to him and goes to run off. To where? You don't know. What are you gonna try to do before somebody gets you down? You see Tyva go to yell out. I don't even think anything in particular. I think he's just startled and is trying to like tell you to get down.
Well, now I'm scared and I don't know what to do.
If Motiva doesn't immediately say something, I do think Falin will recover and try to bring her back.
Ooh, okay. Okay, I'll give you
Roll
a
to
second to
grab?
think.
Yeah.
Roll to grab. I know what I want to say. I want to give this chance for Falin to fucking roll to grab.
Okay,
Roll
this
to
would be a
grab!
versus, actually. It's gonna be, let's do an athletics versus.
Oh god.
Oh,
Oh, well, I'm trained in it now. I'm trained in it now. I'm a
Yeah,
little
you are.
cheerleader.
13
Oh, that is the
plus
natural
8.
one, though.
A natural 1 and then a what?
13 plus 8.
Okay. Falin, you also go try to kind of grab Motiva, and I don't want to say Motiva that you like donkey kick Falin because Falin is heavily Gregvin, right? But I do think that like it's probably still that Falin, you are just shocked that that happened, and then Motiva is now messing with the like layout of these proceedings. And you don't manage to grab her at all. You kind of get winded and have to like lean on the edge of the podium as you're kind of like looking up at Onyx, now looking at you, Motiva, also gobsmacked, but when Onyx is like shocked, she looks mad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What are you saying, Motiva, before somebody stops you? You only have a couple seconds, I think.
Yeah. Oh. Sits down. Oh. Motiva looks to her and just says, "You would never have been able to think of something so rotten. You shouldn't lie."
I feel like you say that, and you don't even like this isn't like a declaration that you're yelling. It's not like you're being like, I object. You get up there and you get up there before you even think of what to say, but when you look at Onyx's face, you know what to say because you know how you feel about it. And you say that, and that shock that looks like anger almost cracks. And there are times when you look at Liliana where you realize, because of the stuff that she's gone through, that physically she is so young. And I feel like that bleeds into a kind of slack-mouthed shock that makes her look her age, because she sparked, she ignited when she was younger than you were. 1 second, Flynn. But what ends up kind of stopping that moment, Motiva, is that like you feel a hand grab the back of your shirt, a lot rougher than any of your friends would have, as Janaya kind of yanks you back down and says, "Whoa, hey, come on, you'll get your turn." And you all kind of like hear as Tyva, looking almost red in the face, is like kind of essentially yelling for order in the court, like everyone must speak for themselves, like, you know what I mean? 1 second, I will pause and fill you in.
It's a pretty thing. Normal thing, yeah.
Yeah, so you, Motiva, you've been scruffed. You've been yanked down. Onyx is still looking at you. I'm gonna give you like a half second to tell me what you're doing, before I tell you what other people around you are doing.
Motiva's going to really quickly just mumble out and say, "Don't tell them the truth." Before she's like yanked back.
Awesome, you're yanked back. You are kind of like held by Janaya for a minute, even after she like tells you like, "Oh, calm down, you'll get your turn." Her smile is relaxed, her grip is not, right? I actually do have to do a roll off really quick. Because a fatal mistake, you are around Ashan, who's now watching you get literally grabbed by somebody with a weapon.
Oh yeah. Fuck.
You see that there is a chain of events that happen right now, right? And it's disruptive enough that it has like fully stopped the proceedings. Because you do that, everyone is aghast, right? Onyx speechless. The founder's not talking. Janaya has you. You said your last piece to Onyx. But you hear like a yell as like Ashan almost like bull rushes Janaya. And like kind of like snarls something, but has to literally be held back by Will. But Will also looks like multiple people here are physically affected by you being grabbed by someone right now. But before it can really escalate, I do think that Janaya reads the situation, knows if a brawl happens right now, it would be not bad for her, it would be bad for y'all. So she almost seems not bothered, and she goes to unscruff you, and in a way that's almost like she's trying to smooth things over, but she can't really let you forget that she's in power here. She goes to pat your head and says again, you'll get your turn.
Motiva's gonna go to Will and Ashan.
Mhm.
She's going to nod to Will, and she's going to look to Ashan and say, "It's fine."
It's not fine.
I think Flynn followed Motiva back. And at that, she's going to say, well, it has to be for now.
Yeah.
Another side effect that I think has happened because of this is, even though you guys all are making the decision of like, we have to act normal, we now can't step out of line again, almost intrinsically, you guys have been in like a loose circle around this podium. I actually feel like now the majority of the people are now congregated around you, almost now in an actual unit. In one moment, you have taken a situation that was very independent and very focused on everyone else speaking for their own thoughts and their own actions, and you have almost reignited this sense of we are here together. And I think that that's really palpable to me.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt it.
No, I like it. That was cool.
Yeah!
That bitch!
Liliana's a liar. That girl's a
Ah!
liar.
So I'm like, what did I just say about communication?
Well, what's the thing Motiva said in the RP where it's just like, yeah, I think she's probably gonna like fucking do something because she's just like, ah. Go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually think that the next one segues into this pretty easily, as in this sort of like interim of like Janaya doing that, the party kind of moving back around, Taiva losing his shit, again thinking that there's about to be a fight in the middle of this. The crowd that has been watching this has gotten bigger and bigger, right? And now it seems like there's like this like hush and these like mutterings throughout it, right? But you kind of hear this loud, like almost like thunder crack noise. As you see another dragon go to speak up, and this one actually is standing up on two legs, making his size markedly bigger, right? And you see that the thunderclap noise actually was him clapping his claws together in an effect that felt very human, right? And he's like, well, You all know I love a show, an unexpected outburst. It really added to the drama. I do think that we have to continue.
Oh no, I love him.
And he goes to kind of step forward and says, you know, I haven't had much of a chance to speak with them, really. But we should hear from the upperclassmen next, I think. Nearly graduated, you are. I'm curious on your role in this mess. Apologies, I really can only call it a mess in execution. Not to mention, you both have a habit of starting trouble around here anyway. History, if you would call it. The twins, those two.
Those two.
And you see, Will, having just dealt with that, Rowan also, if she had a sword, would have had hand on sword, right?
Mhm.
And you see there's kind of like this moment, and Rowan goes to step up, Will right afterwards, but Rowan is a bit quicker to speak than Will. And she goes to kind of put her hands on her hips and says, well, you guys know who I am. And it's like this really awkward start as she kind of like pauses and almost like stalls for time before she kind of sighs and says, okay, look, it was awful that messing with this did damage. It hurt other students, but I mean, we've helped you before. The snarl is a tool you can use. You use it in healing and in big rituals. It's the first thing you learn when you come here, and when we weathered the last attack on Strixhaven 2 years ago, that was the goal then too, to get the snarl, because the snarl can do amazing things and it can be utilized to do miracles almost. You love to say that we are the head of innovation, that amazing things happen here. And it didn't end up great, but when something does happen, everyone reacts. We all jump into the fray and we get it handled. And I don't want to do it again, but I guess to me, it sounds crass, but I don't think what we did was that bad. Heroics are about taking risks and helping people, and at the end of the day, nothing permanent happened. And you see by the end of Rowan's bit, you can actually hear Will be like, Rowan! Hello. I also was a bit too confident in our choices, but we took every contingency we can think of. Hashmal's intricacies were something we failed to account for, but in every other aspect we were careful. The strain of the spell was split among multiple students, and multiple faculty members and support were on standby. I know that doesn't make up for it, but I hope that it shows, at the very least, our intent shows that we had no wish for this risk to be so great. If we had thought that this was a worry, we would have accounted for it. And I think I can speak for everyone. And you see there's kind of like almost like a glance over at Flynn and Rowan when I say that we will be giving Hashmal and their systems and the Snarl a very wide berth. And there's kind of like this pause where most of the other founders had like followed up with more questioning whenever like that their piece was sort of said. And you see that Galazeth kind of has like a claw up near his mouth, and he's like, Well, that was riveting. A wonderful show of your hearts, to be sure. Whether you let your heart speak over your minds, however, will have to be seen. But another one of my children, my students, is here, so I would have her speak now, if you please. And he goes to make like a shooing motion for like the twins to get off the podium. And that segues into Nefeh being called up.
Oh, fuck.
And I'm gonna give you guys another like second where it's like if you guys want to jump in to say something to like the twins, do something physical, have a reaction or your feelings, feel free to talk about it.
Falin can do something. Motiva is stock still because she doesn't want anybody else looking at her.
Fair enough.
I feel like I don't think she would try to hug them, but I do think she would try to like grab each of their hands to like give them a squeeze.
Oh yeah, I think that they accept it, and I think that like Will gives kind of like a relieved like smile, like it's like a comfort, and I feel like Rowan also kind of goes to almost like, I don't want to say fully put an arm around your shoulder because that's not like the vibe, but like almost like runs a hand over your hair in like a comfort, but also like half pulling you in. But I don't know how to describe this physicality, but like it's a thing I've seen people do, and it's the idea of being like, thank you, I hear you, I see you, I'm okay, you're okay kind of vibe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You kind of do that, and Nefeh kind of goes to sigh and goes to kind of climb up onto the podium to say her piece. And again, Galazeth kind of just like sits and waits. He doesn't seem as big into like the sort of like back and forth questioning, right? And Nefeh kind of takes in a deep breath and says in a way that feels very practiced, like she wrote out what she wanted to say. I am coming to the stand as a recent addition to Prismari, but I hope that my own words can be accepted as well. I show full remorse and contrition about my actions and my part that I played in this plan. I was blinded by my grief when a person I loved went missing, and I wanted nothing more than for us to unlock the answer that would fix everything. I see now that it was childish and stubborn. When the ritual looked to be out of control, I put an end to it when I came to my senses. Any punishment you give, I will accept. I will bear that responsibility alongside my continued grief and regret. Thank you. And you see that she goes to give kind of like a formal bow, and before she's released, also goes to kind of like leave the stand.
Fulham can't look at the podium whenever Nefeh is up there.
Yeah, it's fair. They're
All
coming and
Prismari's
going.
the same. All Prismari's the same.
They
They just
it's
fucking
true.
all red mana the same.
All red mana be like, here's my feelings, I don't care what you say about it.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Awesome. If there's anything you guys would like to do, if not, I can go to the next one.
Oh, I'm sweating.
Yeah, fair.
I have a fan pointed directly at me. I'm ready when you are.
Yeah.
Okay. You see with kind of like a sigh at the antics of her fellow founder, you see that Velomachus kind of goes to shift again and says, then the next is up to me again. This time I will be asking a student. Ashan, please step forward. And you see that Ashan kind of goes, passing you Motiva and kind of giving you like a look before just continuing on. going to stand up. But once he's up there, he kind of almost immediately goes to cross his arms, a very like closed off stance. As Velomachus continues, you and the other two after you are already under my scrutiny. You have shown suspicious activity, repeatedly broken rules, and at one point even been found sneaking into the Biblioplex's restricted sections. Your case doesn't look good, if I may speak plainly. And there's kind of this very, like, full pause. As, like, Ashan just kind of stands there and doesn't say anything, and he taps his foot until he goes to almost throw his hands up and says, I don't have anything to say about that. I've broken rules and poked my nose where it doesn't belong. I've been jumping around and skipping school and helping people do shit like this. I'm sure to you the answer seems obvious. This dumbass doesn't care about anything, let alone being here, but I do. I do care, and I hate that this is what it looks like. I think that Strixhaven lends to creative solutions. Taking the risk and grabbing your reward. As annoying as it is to say, I don't think I'm very different than other loreholds in your campus. No offense. And he kind of just stands there and I think that he kind of just stands there just as awkwardly as this pause sounds, and he just shrugs and says, I don't think I acted any differently than someone else would in my position. But if you think that looks bad, then fine. That's fine. You can do that. You'll have your opinion either way. And there's this moment, I think, that is actually a lot different than how Velomachus reacted to Adon Kai's statement and the questioning afterwards, where it seems like Velomachus almost like tilts her head to consider Ashan as she pauses, and she says, "You're right. I have made my opinion. You can step back down." And he goes to kind of step down, and I feel like it would make a lot of sense for most characters to not do something like this when getting down, but I think that getting down, Ashan immediately goes to you, Motiva, grabs you by the face, and kisses you.
Oh.
And I think he is going to stand next to you until you go up next.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think after that, Motiva gets a steeled look in her eye. And she's just like, I have to do this. I have to change everybody's opinions right now of everyone.
Flynn, how do you think you're feeling, and what do you think you're doing?
I think Fullen is trying really hard to compartmentalize stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think she is being hyper aware of how they are being perceived by everyone who's here that's not a part of their little fucking group.
Mm-hmm.
And she's trying very hard not to act untoward.
That's fair. That's really fair. All right. Then I have a question for you guys. This is above table, and I'll be asking you this question before we pause for another break. of the two of you who wants to go first?
Not
Not your characters, you as players, who wants to go first?
Hey Sarah, do you want to play a game of guess the number and whoever gets closer to Vanity's number goes first? Because my
Yeah.
only other idea is flip a coin.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to know what? Sure. Hold on, I'll roll a d20. Okay. You guys guess numbers.
13.
Ooh. Two. God.
You guys actually were an equal distance away from that number, which is very funny, so I'm rolling again. Sarah, you said 13. Motiva, you said 2.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That's kind of funny.
Great news. Fullin, you're gonna go first when we come back.
Great!
Great! Oh, I need to piss.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and pause really quick. Alright, and we're back, and it's coming to the end of this spectacle, almost. Because that's starting to be what it feels like. By the time it's just a handful of you left, the crowd around you is, while it's not the biggest crowd you've ever seen at Strixhaven, it's enough to feel uncomfortable, especially for you, Fullin. You're very aware that for some people, this is the only context they'll ever get of you. And you're having to speak to people who don't know you, who have only known about the situation through hearsay and explanations and macro information. And so you see a dragon that hasn't spoken yet. One that you know which dragons are which. You see Tanazir go to sit up, spine straight, almost a monument unto everything that you have been trying to learn from. You've only been a Quandrix student for a couple months. But she goes to look down and says, well, this time is as good as any. Please, Felindira Salrai, step forward. I am sure through context clues and having so many people go before you, you understand how this works by now. But I would like to hear what you have to say and your side of things. Or you can elect to await judgment.
So gets up on the podium,
Mhm.
nods, takes a deep breath. Thank you for sending the gift. Deep breath. And says, I would like to speak for myself.
Then do so. I will listen.
As one of my compatriots has already stated, context is important. You cannot separate an event from all that happened around it. So forgive me if this gets lengthy. I would like to provide you some. Sitting over there, gesturing to Eleni, is my partner. Just over a day ago, they were on death's door, and they are suffering from what can only be called a concussion of sorts. Me and my friends went out on a mission by ourselves to find them. Okay. I'm gonna be out of character for a second here.
Okay. If that helps you talk about stuff, you can do that. I don't want to like restrict you to only speaking fully in character. If describing what you are saying helps, feel free.
I think while Felin is giving context, she's trying to like take Motiva's advice by like minimizing any planeswalker stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think she still gets into the fact of like we were on a completely like different world
Mm-hmm.
that we had never been to before, where we had no idea what was happening, where Eleni was, what state they would be in. And whenever she gets to the point about like when they as a group were trying to decide what to do, that's when she starts getting into all of the calculations.
Okay.
And I think she makes a point to state how her specialty is about calculating probability.
Mm-hmm.
And in the circumstances, this was the only option that had any chance of success without harm. And I think after all that, she takes another breath. And she says, now with all of that in mind, I do not think I should be excused from what happened. The fact that anybody at the school got harmed, let alone had to be resuscitated because of actions that I not only partook in, but promoted. That is not something I don't think I could forgive myself for. None of us here wanted anybody to be hurt, let alone planned for people to be hurt. That is the one thing that I feel I can speak for all of us with certainty. Whatever punishment you deem necessary, I will take it. I only ask that you do not expel me or my friends from our home, because that is what this place has become for me. I am not free of bias. I don't think I ever could be in this situation. But whatever mercy or compassion you may be able to spare, I would ask of it, and I know that is asking a lot considering what I have done. And I apologize for that.
You as Felin, really early on into this, apologized if this ended up being lengthy, right? And I think something of note that I think is actually really interesting as you talk is that most people's statements were pretty short. They lacked context. A lot of them were kind of like removed from emotion or explaining what was happening. And I think something that you kind of managed to do in this moment is to give context without being blinded by that emotion. And because you said it yourself, like, I can't be removed from bias, but you explained it in a way to where you don't lose yourself in it. You don't lose yourself in excuses and defending yourself. And so I think that something really interesting is that despite all of the other sort of statements being shorter and more succinct and moving kind of quickly, in the grand scheme of things, Tanazir in particular kind of just like sits there and watches you and gives you a really lengthy pause before speaking or questioning further, which is a thing none of the others had been given yet, right? And she goes to say, I've heard your words, I've heard your intent, and I've heard your chronicling of the events. Apart from my ruling and my trial, I would like to give you a bit of advice. You said your specialty is calculations and that this was the only option that did not end in failure and also harm. I'm sure you see now that even though it succeeded, it did end in harm. I am not here to reiterate a point you already understand. I think that you should be careful in the future using words like only option or had no choice. In my experience, even the most well-meaning and talented, not just scientists, but magicians, people who make decisions like this, that make these risks, they are platitudes and comfort for not ideal results. I do not think that you have any ill intent for using them, but I think that you will save yourself more regret if you step away from that line of thinking. I know that this isn't the place for this, but I am, if anything, nothing but a teacher.
I think that makes Philin pause for a second. Just kind of like looks in the middle distance for a moment before looking back to the founder dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Just gives a little bow and says thank you.
You can step back with your friends.
Step, 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 step.
Is there anything that you guys want to say or do before we go into the next section?
Help. Sorry, was that too real?
No, it was really funny.
Trial episodes always are so scary.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Man.
Okay. If nothing's happening, I do think that when you come down, Philin, I do think that Will kind of moves, kind of to like ghost his fingers along your elbow, maybe to like help you down the last step. But I think in a show that is really interesting, because this is kind of, I think, the first time that Eleni interacts with this moment, as Eleni walks fully up to you. I don't want to say in a mimicry, because it's not, but I want to say in almost like a parallel to Ashan going to Motiva after pouring out his heart and like wanting to find comfort in his partner. I feel like they almost try to do the opposite, where they go to you and they go to put their hands sort of like on your face and kind of like lean down to put their forehead against kind of like where your temple is. I would say maybe like close to where your horn naturally sits. And I think just holds you. And I think like this moment kind of transcends like saying something. But when Ashan did it earlier, Ashan irrevocably showed like a connection in this ring almost. When you guys are moving and interacting together, people might not be able to hear what you're saying, but they can see where you are allying your support and your feelings towards. And Eleni sort of does the same with you, as like visually showing I am with you, to not only you, but to people around you.
I think only just beginning to come down from the high of being on a fucking podium.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes Flynn kind of tear up. And I think that she like wants to stay there,
Mm-hmm.
but she like sniffles and like takes a breath. And like puts a hand on Eleni's cheek and just kind of nods. Says, "We come now. You have to rest."
You have that moment, and it's between these testimonies, it feels like it's ages, but it's mere moments before the next one get calls up. It's why it's always so quick, these moments that you steal with each other before another dragon who hasn't spoken up yet, all gleaming white and dark shadow. He goes to kind of stretch where he is seated, and he says, well, I guess best for last.
Nice.
Yeah. I only
Sorry.
have one student myself, so I would like to test her mettle as well. I don't think you need any introduction, do you? And he goes to kind of like gesture a claw for you to like come closer.
She stands up, she gives Ashan a squeeze, and she goes up to the podium.
You go up, and there is this sort of air as Shadrax goes to kind of like consider you. And it is a gaze that reminds you of moments when Grayson, stressed out of his mind, saying like they will look for anything. Like you never know, because that could be their angle. They could be looking for anything, and it feels like that. But Shadrax goes to say, I've heard what your friends have to say, and your teachers. I am curious about what you have to say about this event, but I do feel like I have to bring attention to a piece of information that I think stood out to me most when hearing about this situation. You and one other of you, and he goes to kind of like look at you, Flynn, before looking back at you, Motiva, and he says, Velomachus pointed out that you are a bit troublesome, but I know in particular that you both have been particularly interested in Auric activity on campus. I would like for you to tell me in no carving of words. I would like to leave this conversation able to trust you. So please.
Not the Auric accusation. Oh gosh. Okay. out of my fucking mind. I think Motiva kind of like takes a second. I think she's being very careful to be very hard expression
Uh-huh.
when he says that. She nods and she says very plainly, I do not have enough words in the common tongue to explain how I would like to hunt every Oriq I could find for the damage they have done to me. I began my time at Strixhaven as a human. You do not see a human before you, and that is their fault. I have many curses for them.
I think so. This is something that I think is very interesting because they're dragons, right? They're not technically very anthropomorphic. They don't have a lot of human-like features. So I think it speaks for when you can kind of tell emotions on these dragons, right? On these founders. Because he seems to almost sit back and look pleased at your choice of words, and he says, I think that's well said. I think that lines up to other things that I have heard, that you can never be too careful. I can see why Ambrose took a liking to you.
I'm gonna jump this fucking dragon.
I don't know. I don't know how Motiva would respond to that. I don't think she is for now. I think she's gonna keep a straight face.
That's fair. And he is going to say, all right, then I would like to change my questioning to more the topic at hand. I hope you can forgive my worries considering any tampering with our security system only one group of people would really benefit from. If you have anything else you would like to say in your defense of this event, or your process, or your feelings on the matter, feel free to make them plain.
Oh, Falin, hold me. Okay, Motiva's going to look at him, and she's going to say straight-faced, I would like it striked from the record that Onyx said that she was responsible for the plan, as it was mine. I am the one that made the plan, and I am the one that sought out everybody along the school. I am the leader of this orchestration.
That's very
Can I say something?
Oh. I would love to have you say something. Can I say something as Shadrax really quick? Because I think he would have a comment, but I would love for you to jump in. I think that he looks at you and he says, that's very interesting. Witherblooms aren't very well known for their skill at lying, but Silverquills are.
Bitch. No, she doesn't say that. I just think she's a bitch.
Yeah.
He is the Silverquill, original. Go ahead, Falin.
I was just gonna say, I think hearing Motiva say that would make Falin stand up. I don't think she immediately goes to the podium.
Motiva turns around whenever she hears like the chair move, and she like looks to Falin and puts up a hand, and she's like, "Don't." Nuh-uh.
Are you gonna
Don't.
do
Falin
anything,
is giving
Falin?
Motiva a look.
That's a reaction. You know, I don't quite think I've ever seen something so selfless and selfish at the same time. I suppose that's very in line for a silver quill. Sorry, were you going to say something, Fulin?
For now, no, because Mr. Silverquill kept talking, but she is staying standing and she is staying looking at her.
Okay. Motiva, do you have a response?
Before anything, I am of the Golgari and I am of my home. There is so many in the world, but there are so few that we will ever get along with. You need to protect them. There are so few you will understand, and you must understand them.
There is a selfishness in seeking community and wanting to keep it there. And whole.
I would agree. I think that I've heard all I want to hear. I think I have come to my own decision. Motiva, do you do anything while you're still on the podium?
I think she stands there for a second. And then she does walk away.
Fulin, I'm gonna give you one chance if you would like to say anything before Motiva gets off the stand and something happens, since you were sitting on saying something. You don't have to, but I wanted to check with you.
Mary being on trial.
Oh, fuck. I can think of a thing that she might say, but I don't know if I wanted to say it.
That's so fair. You can take a chance to think on it. You would just have to... You just have to make the decision of would she say it before Motiva is fully off the podium, because whenever she steps off the podium, something is happening. So if you want to wait and see, you can. If you think that she would argue when it's still Motiva's turn, you can. I'm going to leave it fully up into your ballpark.
I think... Okay, yeah, I think she's gonna walk up, not like onto the podium, but kind of in front of it, facing like the audience, but specifically our little group.
That's so fascinating. Fun fact, you are completely encircled, so you would have to pick a specific dragon to face.
No, not facing the dragons,
okay,
facing...
okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, the other audience, the ones that are not immediately in charge of our fate.
Oh, do you mean like students and faculty?
Yeah, that side.
They are actually all in between the dragons. Like, so you're fully encircled by this crowd.
Okay.
You're like in the center of like an amphitheater, basically.
Okay, I had the layout mixed up in my mind.
I'm so sorry.
Brain space.
My brain space.
If you tell me you want to face a certain demographic of like a certain dragon, specific deans, if you want to try to look for like if you have an idea, tell me and I'll try to make it work. But I wanted to tell you before you got too far.
She's specifically trying to look at each member of our group that has been put on trial here today.
Okay.
And if she has to look around as she's talking for that, then it shall be.
Okay, Slay.
So I think she's going to say, hold my hand.
I'm holding
I'm
your
holding
hand.
you.
This isn't even, I don't think this is even like that extreme, but I'm just nervous.
That's so fair.
She will say, let it be known that everyone who stood on trial here today agreed to this plan. Some may be considered less at fault than others, but not a single one of us bears the brunt of this. We are here together. She'll go sit down.
You say that, and Motiva, you go to step down, and I feel like Ashan goes to give you a hand to help you step down, and you're kind of like back in this like gaggle of you all near this podium. But the minute your shoes hit the ground, you actually both hear a voice ring out. Not one of the founders. Not even Taiva, and not one of your own. As you hear a crisp voice clearly over the din, I would like to take the stand.
What?
And you look towards the voice and you see Grayson.
No.
Clothes
You!
disheveled, moving at not a run, but a very quick speed as he isn't even looking at any of you. He is looking at Shadrax. And he goes to say, I have something to say. I want to take the stand. And Shadrax goes to say, we weren't really going to have witnesses, but... And Grayson actually goes to, like, cut him off, and he says, I was involved. I would like to take the stand.
Oh.
And
Rip.
there's like this like hush as like a lot of the people who are involved, including the founder dragons, kind of look at each other. But most of the founder dragons don't really like speak up, as it seems that this decision is left up to Shadrax. As you recall, each founder makes the decision for each individual person, right? And Shadrax goes to look at Grayson. By the time he's reached the podium, he's not looking at any of you, and he's not stopping, and he's climbing onto the podium. And Shadrax goes, very well. Please feel free to introduce yourself to the court. And it's a bit of like in a mocking way as he like gestures to just like the crowd of people around you. As Grayson now stands on the podium in between all of you. And he raises his chin up high. And he says, my name is Grayson Wildemere, unofficial leader of the Planeswalker Extraction Support Team. When they are on the ground out there recovering lost students, I'm running support back here at home. Allocating funds and resources, gathering information via scrying, dedicated research teams, you name it, and I've had my hand in it. When one of us is in danger, we answer the call. We rise up to the task. Us, not you.
Oh.
These people would rather hurt themselves than ever hurt one of us. Say what you want about what you think our motivations are, but it will not be what I know to be true, what Strixhaven knows to be true. Ask us. And you see in this kind of moment that it's almost like something cracked the tension that was here, that was keeping people making this a spectacle. Hushed gasps, whispering, as when you first started and when you saw Grayson run off, there was very few people here. But as you kind of hear other voices go to ring out about your praises, you see people like Mina, Giselle, River, Javanish. People who are involved in Planeswalkers and people who just know you as people. You have left a mark on this school, and in this moment you feel it. And as it's sort of happening, you can kind of still see in the background that Taiva and sometimes other faculty are trying to like calm students. But even in this moment, even teachers and deans don't look convinced. And in a moment that felt like you were on a pedestal as a part of a witch hunt, you are reminded of the connections you have made. What are you guys doing?
Fuck. I think Motiva's holding onto his Sean's arm, and whenever, like, Grayson first goes up, she just looks scared, and then, like, as people start calling out, I think she just has to cover her mouth, and she is just... Yeah. She's so emo.
Fullen is fully trying not to cry. I was also imagining her with a hand over her mouth. She's like grabbing on to like a lady's hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys are shell-shocked, and a lot of the rest of your party is also shell-shocked. As, again, people go to speak up, some of them also kind of like running or walking towards the center as if to check on you or to hug you. Xanther goes straight to you, Fullen, in this moment to check on you. Giselle finally having the courage, now that Grayson had spoke up, coming to also see that you're okay, to stand next to you. These people that you have supported and that have supported you are standing with you. Because at the end of the day, what Strixhaven has become to you is a community. The same as it was for Adonkai and for Nim. And I actually think that Shadrix goes to put up some claws and says, all right, settle down. It seems like we might have to have a bit of an intermission to discuss things. I would ask that anyone now in this square to not leave as we make our decision. The deliberation is not out yet, even if you feel confident. And you see that he makes a little face down at Grayson. There actually probably is like a bigger amount of time because like I wanted to think of a cool way to segue into this. There's not really, because Taiva has to go and like talk to all of them and they have to talk to each other. But they also talk to the deans that also were standing near like the dragons that were associated with their college. So it is actually like a jury is out situation. But it's like, instead of you having to wait in this tense and like somber silence, you're surrounded by people you love and care about. Somebody even comes up to you, a person that you've actually never seen. And you see that she's kind of like walking on a crutch and she has this sort of like bob, wearing a Lorehold uniform, and she actually introduces herself as Bim, who is the recent scryer that had to go to the infirmary,
Oh.
if you remember. She's up and walking again.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, fuck.
Shit, dude.
Yeah.
I think when Bim introduces themselves, Motiva is going to like nod and say thank you. I think she's going to give Bim her necklace of holy symbols.
My gosh. Oh my gosh. I think she's surprised at first. I feel like the tone that she comes into this is kind of sheepish, kind of already joking with you despite having never met you before, you know, like, because the situation was like less about like, oh, this happened because of something that you did. It was like, oh, it's crazy sometimes how like scrying can really backfire, you know, haha. And I think that you say that and you're still like overcome with this emotion and you take off this necklace and you hand it to her. Oh my god, I would have had a more elaborate scene if I had like known, but like I think that she is shell shocked. And I think that she like I actually think she takes a moment to like hold your hands in hers. I imagine the necklace is in your hands and then she's holding your hands also. And I think that she like legitimately asks you about it. Like I think that she as like a Lorehold student would show a lot of interest and respect over something like this that very obviously has a history to it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I do think that there would probably be a section where she would try to give it back, but I think if Motiva is firm, she would take it legitimately. Ooh, oh my god.
Make me emo. I'll make you emo. I have to erase Motiva's necklace from her fucking outfit now. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's worth it, dude. Oh, fuck.
Art!
She has card art.
She has card art.
Yeah, you
I
guys just
think
never got to
Motiva-
meet her because you don't hang out with a lot of Loreholds.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault.
I think
Motiva. No, go ahead.
now if you're gonna do a thing, do it. Hello?
Use your words.
I do think Falin wouldn't try to hug her because she's on a crutch,
Mm-hmm.
but she really wants to. So she's instead going to take one of her hands and like squeeze it, and is going to, like, in the process of crying already, give a very watery like thank you. I can't thank you enough.
I'm just glad that it worked. It all worked out. Yeah?
If there's anything I can do to repay you, you cannot hesitate.
She goes to kind of like, she doesn't shake your hand in a traditional sense, but she like shakes where you are holding her hand, and she just goes to say, well, just make sure that you remember me when I need an interview, because this is definitely going into my thesis. And another thing, because I forgot to mention this in the list of people who ran up, I feel like while you guys are both like around Bim, who finally introduced herself and is like up and walking around again, I feel like Motiva, you feel somebody go to grab at your cheeks, and they turn your head, and you actually see a grinning Cinder, who you actually hadn't known it was back
What
yet.
the fuck? What the fuck? Where did you come from?
You were gone for a while.
Yeah. I was. Hi, how are you?
You know, I'm better now after I got to see a cool underclassman stand up to our founder. And she's like squeezing your face as she says that.
She takes the squeeze and she just nods. She says, "Yes, that definitely happened.
It did.
Oh god, that happened."
Do you think that Motiva is teary-eyed?
I think she is watery, yes.
I think that Cinder actually goes to take her knuckles, which are a little rough, but she goes to kind of like pat at your under eye a little bit with them. And she goes to kind of say, well, make sure you don't see any of the boys see you cry.
Oh. I think if any of them saw me crying at this point, I think hell's going to go on those dragons. Oh.
And also, this goes without saying, Xanther is fully leaned across your shoulders, full in.
Oh, she's giving him the biggest hug.
Oh yeah, you guys are leaning on each other right now. I keep like not being able to do a description of how every single person comes up to you, and you're literally in like a sea of your friends and loved ones, but like you see River and like Javanesh and like Fletcher even comes up to like squeeze your hands. I love Strixhaven. I'm getting emo. Stop it. You see this really tender moment that I think happens in the middle of you two being swarmed, where you guys can kind of see Aurora go to throw two arms around Eleni's shoulders, kind of hiding her face, but you can kind of tell with the shaking of her shoulders that she's crying a little bit in a show of emotion that she doesn't normally let people see. And Eleni goes to hold her, at least for the moment. If there is anybody you would like to approach before you get your verdict, I would love to hear about it.
Motiva's going to grab Grayson by the fucking scruff.
Yeah?
What the fuck?
What do you mean, what the fuck? I couldn't get these right here fast enough.
Deezer was supposed to be here?
She's the one going into law. I thought that when I said I would do anything we could to make sure that you got off of it, I meant it. I wasn't gonna just let you fight by yourself. I wasn't gonna let them make a decision about you when they never got to know you. Not like we did. Don't. Sorry, Ed.
No, go ahead.
Don't make it a big deal, okay? I meant everything that I said. It's not. All of it was true, so.
Motiva's going to look to Grayson, and she's going to lean towards him, and she's going to give him a hug forcefully. He is not allowed to let go.
I think there's this affectation to it that's really good because I think you do that, and I feel like you kind of see dawning horror on his face because for a minute he thinks you're gonna kiss him.
Yeah.
And it's like him being scared, but being interested, but being like scared, and he goes to like maybe like half step away, but you've already like gotten him into like a snake death grip. You know what I mean? But after a minute, when he realizes that he cannot escape your clutches, I think that he goes to just put his hands in a very polite position right next to, I want to say maybe like where the back of your ribs are, so he's not touching your Huldra hole. And not too low down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a very polite hand position.
Yeah, yeah, he definitely has to think about it. You know what I mean?
She gives him a hug, and it's tight and it's warm, and she goes to like drag him, and she's like, "You have to explain yourself to Fallen right the fuck now." Oh my fucking god.
Fallen is approaching rapidly.
Oh god.
She faces the werewolf to Fallen.
I was about to say this pauses in character as he just makes a face.
I like to imagine that like Fallen was rapidly going from like person to person, anyone she saw and knew and recognized, giving them either a hug or a hand squeeze, and then she turns around, eyes lock on Grayson. She is moving at a pace.
Oh god.
Squish.
Oh god, another one. He seems.
If I could lift you, I would.
He seems only marginally more accepting of the Fallen hug, which I think is hilarious and telling. But you squeeze him. You don't lift him because you are shorter than him by a good bit. And he kind of just like accepts it, and he says, "Look, I didn't do some big, cool sacrifice or anything. I just said what everybody was thinking."
It didn't have to be a sacrifice to be big and cool.
And for us to be grateful.
Of course, I'm a Silver Quill. We go out in style. We roll up to the function and we win. He's obviously embarrassed while saying this, though. How are you doing? What did you say?
I said she's severely pregnant.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm checking up on it, but I'm trying to be subtle about it.
She's like still like tears are actively still running down her cheeks. It's just
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Please sit down.
And now I have more people to see.
I'm so sorry. I know that this might seem really goofy. I now feel like Grayson is just going to be following around Motiva and Fallen, making sure they now don't run themselves ragged while they're waiting for their sentencing.
Yeah, I think Motiva's, now that she's done talking to Bim and Grayson, is gonna go around to everybody and like do a quick checkup. I'm rapidly approaching Liliana.
Okay.
I was gonna say, literally as soon as Fallen is like finished, like greeting all of the friends that showed up, she's beelining to fucking Miss Vess.
She is there. She is there and she is standing.
She approaches and she hits Liliana's arm.
Whoa!
It is not very strong because Fallen is not very strong, but she
Yes.
does do it.
You know, I thought you would wait until you weren't actively on trial.
Of course I wouldn't wait.
Should be careful unless they want to add any more charges on.
I don't care. Lied.
I didn't lie.
You just think I would never do that.
You asked if I would do that, and I asked you seriously if you thought I was the kind of person to do that. And then I told you to mind your business.
You are scared.
Get used to it.
After what I had just told you about communication.
There was a point in my life where someone chose to believe in me and sacrificed himself so that I could go forth and prove that I was not the kind of person people thought I was. You can curse my name all you want to, but it was a gift I was trying to give you.
And I appreciate it, but that doesn't mean I didn't make me upset. You're as much a part of this as anyone else. If anything, more so. I may have my problems with you, but I still care about you.
I think that she kind of just looks at you and I think that she like considers you for a long moment, and she kind of, almost in a way that she did at Nim's cabin, kind of sidesteps to say, oh, should I say that? I think that she goes to kind of say, I heard breathing exercises help. You might want to sit down or you might go into labor.
Well, then I guess I'll just lay an egg.
Like I said, you can be upset if you want to about it, but I was doing what I thought was best, and, well, in the end, it might have been for nothing anyway. So. But your feelings and intentions are noted and appreciated.
Good. She like narrows her eyes and she does that thing where like, you know, where you make like a V with your fingers and you like do the back and forth between your eyes and somebody else's. She does that as she backs away.
Be careful, you'll need a couple more centuries before you can talk to me like that. I can get Tanazir over here for insubordination at any point.
It wouldn't be the first time that's happened to me. I committed property damage back in my youth.
Whoa.
I love her.
Whoa.
I love her rebellious youth phase. Disrespect your surroundings.
Disrespect your surroundings.
I'm so sorry. Ash, did you want to say something to Liliana specifically?
I'm gonna be honest. A lot of what Flynn said summed it up. I do think Motiva goes up to her and just says, "You ruined my entire testimony by doing that."
Good.
What the fuck?
You know, it's funny. I hear a lot through the grapevine that, well, I guess I'll keep my musings to myself.
What
Have
the
fun with
fuck?
your after party.
What grapevine? Do you have a grapevine?
A lot of them, actually.
What the rabies,
Rabies.
She looks a little too smug about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Motiva just like looks over and she's like, am I just gonna die curious now?
Are you?
I don't
Oh
know.
my
You're
God.
going to outlive me. What the fuck is this?
Considering your plan was to get to the end and say that it was all your fault, I just think it's very telling that you're mad at me for doing the same before you.
At least I wasn't lying about it.
I don't know if I like how similar you are to me when I was younger.
I know what you did to Julius Beleren in the streets. I don't want to be compared to you right now. I'm not strong enough for that.
What thing is Motiva referencing?
Motiva's just basically calling Liliana a Dom mommy. It's just like, I don't want to be compared to that right now. I'm sorry.
I didn't think he was still talking about it. Okay.
He wasn't. His girlfriend sure was, and she leaves.
That's
Oh my
embarrassing.
God.
Embarrassing.
Embarrassing.
Embarrassing. Motiva's going up to her fucking teacher lovers.
Yeah. I think that Nimid and Donkai are kind of holding each other. I have this very specific image where they're not chest to chest, but they're kind of like shoulder to shoulder, but their arms are around each other, and they're kind of doing that thing. They're kind of like swaying gently back and forth. It's not like dancing. I don't know how to word it. It's rocking. You know what I mean?
I get it. They're rocking each other.
Meow. What are you doing?
I have an honest question.
Yeah.
Is Ashawn tailing me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Motiva's gonna take
Yeah.
Ashawn's hand and she's gonna say, "You need to be nice. No biting. No horseplay. Okay?
I am going to bite you.
Not well. Don't. Okay. Later. And she's going to take Ashawn and she's going to go up to Nim and Kai and she's going to give the biggest hug known to man.
Yeah, definitely. They accept it. I think the vibe right now is that Nim is a little sniffly and probably has been for a while, and I feel like it's a lot of like Kai specifically like being very calming and like shushing them. You know what I mean? You know the vibe, right? So you go up to hug them, and I feel like they go to squeeze you. Nim in particular's grip feels really tight, which I think is really interesting. Nim is usually very in control of themselves. I think that Kai goes to kind of like kiss your hair, like right next to your witch's turn, and I think goes to like say, well, I'm glad your friend pulled off what he did, or I would have had to kick your ass.
Well, it happens. I'm glad all these people are here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're the leader of them, huh?
Oh.
Everybody heard you say that.
Where's the Bochi gif?
I don't know what gif you mean.
Hang on. I got
Uh,
it. I got it.
Yeah,
Nice.
that one. She's trying to not no clip into the ground,
Uh-huh.
and she just shakes her head. She says, "No, I said no such thing. These people are here of their own volition to protect the people they care about. And if the founders tried to kick you two out, I think the school would explode."
Nim goes to kind of rub at their face a bit and says, "No one's managed the inventory of the witch's clinic in 4 years besides me."
Awful. Deserve a raise. Motiva is going to grip Ashan
Mm-hmm.
and just say, "Now then, I'd like you to stop thinking that I'm going to let some dragons bully any of you. Now."
I feel like Ashran actually was like standing behind you and has like his arms like around your ribs, like chest to back. And he just kind of like leans his shoulder on his chin on your shoulder. You are a tangled ball. You're a snake ball right now, the four of you.
Evie.
Nippy.
Oh, Sarah, if you would like to do anything, you can. I'm just emo.
Emo. It's emo time.
It's emo time. It's gay people hours.
Gay
It's
people
gay
hours.
people.
8:50. Gay people hours.
I feel like whenever she's done making the rounds with everyone,
Mm-hmm.
she will go back to Eleni and to Will, and she's finally gonna sit down with a huff. And she's going to grab both of their hands.
I think I have this very particular articulation physically of how this happens. I feel like you go to sit down. I feel like Will was probably like holding Eleni, because since things got a little bit hectic, I think that like Will seems like the type that was like, I don't want people bumping into them right now. Weird volatile magic, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like as you kind of go up to them and go to sit down, Eleni kind of like wiggles free to like. There is no real way to describe this other than sits on you. But I think like bodily sits on you on the ground. Obviously taking care of your stomach. But like puts their hands like on your collarbone and like your shoulder and like puts pressure on like your jaw and your cheeks to make you look up at them. And I think so something very cool. So it's zenith right now, so the sun is up. So Eleni is like shining really brightly and their hair is like longer and they have this sort of like very clear, like cool toned blue to their water. But also like it was very sunny when we were out here. And I feel like now that we've kind of gotten to this segment, there's almost like pineapple rain. That by the time it like touches you, it's not like the rain when we were walking, but it almost like fizzles out by the time it goes to touch you. So it's like very gentle. And I think that Eleni gay people, you don't even know I'm about to do to you right now. Gay people in my Strixhaven. I think that Eleni goes to like kiss you, but it's almost like, do you know that one scene in Ponyo where Ponyo just rubs her face on Sosuke's? I feel like it's like that, and I think the emotion that Eleni gives you right now, before something else happens, because there are two people here and gay people in my Strixhaven, is like almost like a magnification of like this emo feeling that you guys are feeling in the sense of like community. It feels like your heart tapped into like a web, right? It's like a physical manifestation of like feeling connected is what like Eleni is trying to impart on you right now, right? But before like that kind of conversation in both of your minds like goes very far, Will goes to kind of sit really heavily next to you, and like in a move that is uncharacteristically affectionate in public, out of relief, he like goes to put his arm around your shoulders and then like lean his forehead against your like cheekbone, like the side of your face, so he's also very close to you. And he goes to say, I want you to know that you were very well spoken.
I think she gives a watery laugh. Happy Pride!
Yeah.
Just to thank you. It's hard for me to do right now. I think she's gonna kind of nuzzle at Will, nuzzle at Eleni, and she's going to say, kind of like on a sigh out, Ustasusuns, which means my lights, which has particular connotations for Luxonite, but
It's
we
true.
won't get into that right now.
It's true.
Gay people on my campus.
Gay people in my Strixhaven. I really feel like you guys are in your little polycules just like holding each other after that, right?
Yeah.
And it's a lot, and like there's I'm like at a loss for words to like describe the air, but I think we all are feeling it in this Chili's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you guys are left like that for your own devices for, I want to say, actually like a decent bit. I want to say that it is maybe close to like 30 minutes, which is like I would say a decent amount of time, right? But it feels like nothing until you all hear like a voice clear their throat as, who do I want to say speaks?
Oh no.
There's many dragons.
A billion bitches.
There's a billion
Billion
bitches.
It could be Taiva, since his whole thing is he speaks for them when they're not here.
It's true. It's true. For reasons you will see in a second, it should be somebody that's not Taiva.
What?
It's not that ominous. Don't worry. It's just because of what I have planned. I wonder if maybe Shadrix actually comes forward, because Silverquill is about talking and making speeches and orating. I think that he goes to clear his throat, and he goes to kind of like sit up straighter, and he says, everyone, here we have come to a decision. Everyone here who has been on trial, we have discussed lengthily what we think should happen as far as sentencing goes for the charges levied against them. We have talked extensively with our voice of the founder as well as our deans to get a bit of context, a bit of othering opinions. And you see that he actually goes to kind of look towards you, Falin, when he says that, before looking back at the crowd. And he says, this is a bit of something that is left to the mysticism of Strixhaven. But for this moment, I will elaborate a bit, as this is a bit of a momentous occasion. We don't often have to worry about kicking out students, contrary to what some people may say. We have decided that should I word this? We have decided that the charge does not match the crime, so to speak. There have been untoward consequences, and the first years who have been affected by this will be reimbursed in any way we can see fit. But as we have heard, the lay of these students' hearts, we have decided that they do not pose a threat to Strixhaven, and therefore expulsion is no longer necessary or wanted. Strixhaven University operates under a very interesting mindset of, if you want to be here and want to learn, we will never turn you away. Students are only expelled when they are considered a real threat to the people around them or the institution that this place represents. And as the people here have been deemed not a threat, they will be allowed to continue their studies or their tenure as they see fit, with a couple specifics to be decided later. And to the students in question, he goes to kind of look to the lot of you, now kind of scattered, but he seems almost with like this pinpoint precision able to kind of like make eye contact with each of you and your other students and faculty that were on trial. He goes to give a bit of a nod of a head, and he says, I hope that you can understand that while this did turn into a bit of a spectacle, that it was a necessary precaution. And I hope that we can apologize for the intensity that any of the staff or faculty levied towards you. This is a place that matters to a lot of people, and I cannot blame anyone's reactions to the potential damage and death of students. So I hope that that squares everything away.
Taiba fucking hates us.
Man.
Oh, shit, dude. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Motiva grabs all of her lovers and puts them in a big old hug.
Yeah. Whenever, like, the second that they said that, like, it confirmed, like, we are not being fucking expelled, Fulla just, like, like, ragdoll.
Yeah, literally on the ground.
All tension has left the body.
We're like, but yeah, I figured that you guys would do really well, but I didn't really write any particular celebratory scenes after you guys surviving trial arc, because a lot of how people reacted was based entirely on what you guys were gonna say. So I love how you guys did. You didn't get kicked out.
Woo!
I think something of note that is really fun is I sorry, I'm gonna point this out because I do love it. I know you guys loved it also. I love the idea that Chadrix is like, everybody play nice, stop being mad at each other, please.
God, Jesus.
Please,
fucking
God.
Christ.
The vibes in here are rancid.
Stop it. Chadrix pointing at Taiva and then pointing at you guys. Okay, no hard feelings. Okay, goodbye. But yeah, that's all I had planned. So if you guys have any scenes you want to do, you can, or we can go ahead and cut it now. But I hope you guys had fun with the trial.
Yeah!
Yeah!
We survived.
Motiva's planning a honeymoon in Ravnica. Let's go!
Yippee! And then Halloween arc is next too.
Yeah!
Halloween art!
Hell yeah!
Wow.
Wow.
Must be stated, cannot be emphasized enough. Whenever Flood manages to get herself off the ground, squish Motiva.
Squish.
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 Light squish. You are product. You are
Yeah.
product.
I don't know. Flynn's squishy in other places.
Oh, wait.
She might go into labor if I get her too excited.
Oh, also, this didn't get brought up, but I think it's really fun. Onyx was not directly told that you were pregnant, so...
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah! Haha.
If you want to know stuff behind the scenes, I don't mind telling you. It's because she has life sense.
Goddamn.
Level 20.
She is indeed level 20.
Old 20. Notes that down in out of character notes in my notebook.
It's cool. Okay, hell yeah. Awesome, hell yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.